All right, let's see if we can get this going. It's been a minute, y'all. All right, all right, all right. What's up? What's up, everybody? Tap the screen. I'm not sure if I have guest features. If anybody can see, is there a little pink and blue guy in the corner? Because I might need. Hey, Patty, to just use tinyurl slash or .com/deconjunk to get guests today because I haven't been live for a while. So I think they might have taken my guest features away. Yeah, I don't see them. Lame. I just have to go like live so many times and then they'll give it back. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I am going live today because yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. A lot of crazy things being discussed on social media. I really like have been disgusted with how like these talking points have been going. Uh, my background here basically explains what's going on. Like this is from January 6th, right? And this is what they called peaceful protesters. A lot of them were armed and they were not unalived. I mean, Ashley Babbitt was, but that was kind of a different situation. But yet, Alex Preddy was considered a domestic terrorist. Yes, he also was armed. He was not brandishing. Hey, J Rob. And yet, he was unalived. So, why is there a double standard here? That's what I want to know. Oh, thank you, Giga. It's a chubby sweater. I get a lot of compliments on this sweater. It's very 80s core or like early 90s, like Saved by the Bell. Let's see. How is YouTube doing? Not many people on the YouTubes, but I'll give it a second. Hopefully that's coming through all right. Yeah. So yeah, tap the screen, try and share this out. Let's get some discussions going if we can. I might just have to talk to the chat on YouTube or not YouTube on TikTok. There is a way to call in. I could just add it to the background here. Just to say like, hey, if you want to call in, use this. To request. Yeah, TikTok's been wild lately. To request up, go to tinyurl.com/deconjunk. Okay. Um, where is it at? Where is it at? Prompt. Show. Okay. I can also put who has got you on there. I don't care. All right. All right. So we got a couple of things to talk about. TikTok seems harder to get guests. Yeah. I just read that one. Everybody, if you could share this out, I want to get some traction going because I want to start going live more. I was dealing with a lot of crazy family caregiving that was going on. My mom has cancer and was going through chemo, so I was helping her with that. I had cancer just before that, and yeah, it wasn't good. So there was a lot that I was dealing with there. And now my dad is going in for a quintuple bypass while uh, my mom is just finishing her chemo and everything. Yeah, my mom, I think she's better. We'll find out on the 6th. They're going to do like a last scan, and that will kind of determine whether or not she's on remission or if they need to like do more. There's like a couple of other like little nodules, like in the lungs, breast area. We're not too worried about that. She had lymphoma, which was a much more serious, aggressive type of cancer. Whereas like a small nodule, if it's under 2 centimeters, it's not even considered cancer at that point. But yeah, dealing with all of that, it's been one thing after another, basically since 2024, like April of 2024. So yeah, it's been a lot. But I would appreciate it if everybody could share this live. What double standard? Yeeky, the double standard is if you look on this image, this is actually January 6th rioters that were armed. It has been proven that they were armed with a review that was done in January of 2025, so about a year ago. Yeah, it's a lot. And they were not, unalived. It's not like a mass grave that happened in January 6th. In fact, it was different from what the standard for Alex Preddy is that he was considered a domestic terrorist, whereas these guys were considered peaceful protesters, both armed. One, MAGA is saying deserved it. The other, they were saying they were just peaceful protesters. And yeah. Well, most of the Jan 6ers were feds. Okay, Jay, Texas, what are you talking about? Who were feds? By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you can join on the call and talk to me by going to tinyurl.com/deconjunk. That's JUNC. And what it'll do is bring you to a little free application called Video Ninja. It will allow you to get on the call, and I can bring you up and we can discuss. Also goes for TikTok, since I don't seem to have guest features, unless Giga or somebody over there can tell me if they see a guest feature. That all being said, let's keep going. Tap that screen, share it out. Let's talk a little bit, guys. Let's discuss peacefully and civilly the things that are going on up in Minnesota, because I have a lot to say. I've been watching. Yeah, okay. So there's no guest feature on TikTok. That's fine. If you want to request on TikTok, you can also go to tinyurl.com/deconjunk. Just make sure you like pause the live if you have it open in another window. That way it doesn't like bleed in. But I could still get you on. We could still talk. That all being said, like I was talking about here, yeah, fuck eyes, I agree with that. Resist. And yeah, they are attacking ICE agents. Okay. Well, okay. What about the BLM riots? I don't think really all that many people went to prison, but in January 6th, a lot of people went to prison. They were pardoned. And also the people were attacking ICE agents. These guys were attacking with weapons. Do you not see what's happening in this picture? They are armed and like actively attacking Capitol Police. Yet you're saying that this guy who has a phone in his hand was attacking ICE and deserved what he got. Whereas these guys got nothing but a pardon. I guess that's okay. I guess it's okay to beat up law enforcement as long as you think that there's a rigged election that was going on. But if you don't agree with immigration flooding a city in Minneapolis or in Minnesota with 3,000 agents, when Minnesota only hires and staffs 600 officers for their whole metro area, they brought in 3 to 4 times that amount just for immigration. You don't think like shit like this is gonna keep popping up? They're everywhere. I mean, it's just obvious that this is meant to either probably lead to this so they could maybe get the protesters to fight back more so they can do like the Insurrection Act. I mean, they've mentioned it multiple times. So please explain to me the double standard here. How is it that January 6th rioters were considered peaceful protesters, yet he was considered a domestic terrorist? That's the double standard that I want to know about. Also, if you could just share this live out wherever you are, if you're on YouTube or anywhere, if you want to just post it around, share it out. We're going to try and build up some people here and try and get some talks going. I will keep an eye out on Video Ninja. You can call in. Oh my god. I'm so sorry about my cat. I might have to like push him out. Give me a second. Don't mind my pajama pants. All right. So back to what I was talking about. So 3,000 ICE agents in Minnesota slash Minneapolis. It seems to me like a siege. It's actually, the project is called like Operation like City Surge or something like that. So they're literally Giga. They were literally surging Minneapolis, which to me seems targeted, right? This seems like Trump might have heard about the Somali fraud thing and decided, hey, I'm going to send 3,000 troops or ICE agents. They aren't even troops. They're like untrained, very obviously untrained by the results of this situation. And we now have like a siege going on in Minneapolis. Bruh, it's CNN. It's your own guys reporting. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Raptor 8? I don't understand. CNN? I'm not talking about CNN. This is just I've been watching like local news. I think it was CBS, which is like known for old boomers, that have been reporting on the incidences that have been going on with ICE. Polls on immigration? Okay. What about it? I don't understand what the polls are about. So what I am trying to discuss here is that these January 6th rioters were considered peaceful protesters. They were armed. They had firearms on them. The talking point that I keep hearing lately is that if you come to a protest armed, then you deserve to be, you know, unalived. Where these guys were armed, they were like literally assaulting an officer, uh, multiple officers with different types of weapons. They may not have been using their firearms, but they were definitely carrying just as much as he was. Yet he was unalived, execution style, with half the bullets pumped into his body after it was laying there lifeless. So I don't understand how like a execution style unaliving could happen when this didn't end up with anything other than Ashley Babbitt, which I would say is a little bit different considering the context of how I'm speaking between these two and how they contrast. So please, anybody on YouTube or TikTok, let me know. Let me know what your answer is to this double standard. Also, I have a who is God to you. I could probably take that off. That's a little off topic. There we go. Alex was fighting with ice a week before he was and had a broken rib. What? Had a broken rib. What do you mean? What does that have anything to do with anything? If he was fighting with ice, where's the source on this? Where is the relevance to what happened? Does that mean that he's still? I mean, these guys had beaten people, broken their ribs. Actually, 5 officers ended up unaliving because of what happened on January 6th. So please explain to me why these guys were pretty much pardoned, left untouched, celebrated, in fact. Whereas the MAGA Republicans want to say that Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist. That's the main thing that I want to discuss here. No, explain it to the NRA. The NRA is on the side of you should be able to carry a firearm and not expect to get unalived. So I don't understand what. Yeah, I mean MAGA is versus the NRA, I guess, right now. I also think that that's why Bovino was, canned, because you don't mess with political money, and NRA was a lot of political money. But yeah, I think I have to be live for a couple 20 minutes or maybe an hour or so before I can start taking guests on TikTok. There is a way to take guests other than TikTok. You can go to this tinyurl.com/deconjunction or deconjunk. I can get you up and we can talk if you want to talk about it. This isn't really a debate. It's more of a, what the F are you thinking, guys? What's going on? These are the people. I'm reading all these comments from people that were very, very into the Second Amendment. They were, you're going to have to pry it out of my cold, dead palms, or hands, as Charlton Heston said in his famous speech. And then now we're hearing, oh, don't bring a firearm to a protest. There were multiple firearms at January 6th. This is reported. This is proven. They have names. By the way, the people that were named were pardoned. What lie, Wayne? Wayne, jump on tinyurl.com/deconjunk. We can talk about it. Or you can sit in the chat like a little sissy, like a little keyboard warrior, and say, no, you're lying. I'm not going to say what you're lying about, but you're lying. I wish I could put the other chat from YouTube up on the TikTok. That'd be great. And by the way, Minnesota law, if you have a concealed weapon, you do not have to let anyone know that you have that concealed weapon unless you are asked specifically by law enforcement. So again, I don't see what this man was doing unlawfully. What I see is he was practicing his First Amendment. He was practicing his Second Amendment by having a concealed carry, which he never brandished. He never took it out. He never showed it. He never threatened anyone. The most that could be considered as assault or anything was that I think he kind of touched one of the ICE officers. Good for you, James. And you don't, that's okay. So James over on YouTube said, I'm a lifelong conservative. I'm leaving the Republican Party. Yeah. I don't think the Republican Party is what it used to be. And I'm not saying that you need to go left, resist oppression is, but I think that something needs to change with the party in general, because it is not, built on small government. It's not built on a lot of the platforms that conservatives and Republicans were known for. So I don't understand why a lot of these, maybe older Republicans, or, the Reagan era, or, even the Bush era Republicans, the pre-Tea Party Republicans, are standing aside with this. Yeah, and I agree. Neither are the Dems. The Democrats are just the most milk toast, do nothing, but maybe write stern letters, and then also go against the will of their constituents, by voting in things like more funding for ICE. Was thinking about this. I think a lot of Republicans are ready to ditch. A centrist party may arise. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Elon talking about this, kind of centrist, American party. I think that maybe two more parties should arise, a centrist party, or you could call the Democrats the centrist party, and then maybe a more progressive left-leaning party. I think that if we had more than just the two parties, we'd have a little bit better of a choice in how people side. It's very much like sports right now, where people are more proud of the red or blue that they, or the R/D that is next to their name, when it should be about the policies, right? Conservative is a way of life. Republican is just a political party. Okay, I can agree with that. I would say, yeah, like conservatives. There were conservative Democrats at one time. There were progressive Republicans at times. I, not everything is black or white. I think that things kind of lie on a spectrum. Okay, Allard Dermonham. Defo never been happier to not be an American. You guys do interesting content out of your country, though. Our news station talk about you all day. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of people in other countries saying that all eyes are on America lately. My 2 cents on that is I want to live in America where the goings on of government and civil duties are boring. Uh, the president should never be an icon or an idol, not a like god to be worshipped or some sort of celebrity. The president is meant to be a civil servant. He's meant to be our employee as the people, along with Congress and the judicial system and everything else. Uh, we used to like have these sort of things where when Clinton was in office, yeah, there was the whole Monica Lewinsky stuff, but for the most part, people were just like kind of doing their day-to-day stuff. Not every day was filled with Trump this or Clinton that. It's not like you're hearing the name Biden this, Biden that. It's just wild to me that headlines are coming out every single day, multiple times a day, with these people's names on it. uh it's wild. And I have a master's in public administration, so like I understand civil service. I actually work in civil service. I've been working in civil service for about a decade, if not more. And it's supposed to be boring, it's supposed to be bureaucratic, it's supposed to be like cogs of a machine, just kind of working in the background. They're not supposed to be the forefront of news. They're supposed to be introducing bills, passing legislation. People should be reading about it, people should be advocating, which means you go to your legislatures right before they vote and you give your 2 cents. That's everybody's right, and that's what they vote on. Hey, Ashra. Trump is a Dixiecrat. I could see that. I could kind of see that. All caps. I mean, Nightbot might get you if you're in all caps on YouTube. Yeah, I'm over the neocons and the neolibs. Things were a little bit more boring, I guess, then, but what I didn't really care for was not much like got accomplished as far as like personal rights. A lot didn't get accomplished when it came to like the needs of the middle class and the lower class, and I or healthcare even. And I think that those are very important things, but we're stuck in the immigration subject or like identity politics, to where what do we do with identity politics? It's really like inconsequential when you think about it. It's people that are getting up in arms about bathrooms and stuff, when like this is important, because like fascism is happening, lives are being lost, but yet we're still talking about, well, define a woman. I don't get, define my ass. I don't give a shit about that. Like let's talk about the shit that really matters, like education or healthcare or bills. People, the housing market has gone up like in multitudes since COVID-19, yet the median income of people has pretty much plateaued. It's been like barely moving up. where houses are doubling in price. Nobody here that I know is getting double their wages. So does Iran pay American taxes? No, Iran is run by the Ayatollah and the Muslim. They're like a theocracy. I mean, they might pay America for things like arms, daycares for all. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, let's get these kids watched. I mean, why do they have to sit at home? Why are we taking that kind of thing? We are going to annex them? Well, who? Iran? We're going to annex Iran? I mean, honestly, that wouldn't be too surprising to me. We've tried to do similar things in the past, not annexing them. I actually know quite a bit about Iran in the 70s with the whole, the students that were held hostage situation, which ended horribly for us, by the way. That's why that the Muslim religion is like holy in power. Well, Iran had they had oil, and America and Britain were upset at the democratically elected leader. This was before the Shah, which was, if you know who the Shah is, that was like 80s, 70s, and 80s. Before the Shah was a man named Mossadegh. He was a democratically elected leader, and all he wanted to do was nationalize oil for Iran, very similar to how Venezuela wanted to nationalize their oil. And guess what? A little man named Kermit Roosevelt went in. He worked for, I believe, the CIA. Went in and staged a coup and overthrew Mossadegh and got the Shah put into place. When the Shah was put into place, some things happened. The women were actually kind of liberated. They stopped wearing burqas. It wasn't so much a theocracy like it is now, but at the same time, the Shah in Iran was having these like very lavish parties. The poor in Iran were seeing these lavish parties and how the upper classes were living this very big high life that made them very upset, especially with the goings on with Mossadegh. And that made them have this ire for America because they knew that America caused that coup. So what happened then was they were kind of manipulated or swayed by the church, the Muslims, the Ayatollah, and they voted the Muslims in. It became a theocracy. That's the Iran we know now. Women are not liberated, and we are always at arms with them. Now, that all being said, I that's not really about what my topic is about, but I do feel like that's important for people to know, because what we did when we staged that coup over in Iran was we set ourselves up with an enemy, and the like outcomes of that led to things like 9/11, Middle East tensions, and that does kind of relate to what's going on here, because stupid decisions by our government have repercussions, and we're seeing that. This was a very stupid decision. ICE should not be in Minneapolis right now. ICE should be dealing with immigration in a way that I knew when I worked at jail here in my town. It's a nice facility that I worked at, and the only officers that worked with ICE were two officers that would come maybe once a month to help move detainees from the jail over to planes so they could fly on those planes and get deported back to their countries. This was during the Obama era, where Obama was deporter in chief. There was no need for this large ICE presence in all of these cities. There was no need for this like circus that was going on. It was literally, if a person was arrested, They would run them through the ICE program. ICE would set a detainer on these people. They would sit in jail until all of their U.S. related crimes were handled, and then ICE would deport them if they did not meet with immigration standards. We actually deported more people that way, and it was much more peaceful. Yes, there were raids. There were times where people, were like taken working at facilities if they had like tons of undocumented workers, but it was nothing near what's going on now. What we're seeing now is some sort of like secret police, a la the Stasi in Eastern Germany or, Russia, circa the Cold War era. And they are showing and instilling fear into the people, not only the immigrants in all of these cities and all over America, but they are instilling fear into the citizens. And why are they instilling fear into the citizens? Because the citizens of the U.S. notice these ICE agents doing things and they want to protest against it legally. This is part of the Constitution. It's the First Amendment. You have the right to freedom of speech. You can peacefully protest. You can sit there with a camera and shout, "Hey, I don't agree with what you're doing." And that's fine. So yeah, now U.S. citizens have ended up unalived because of what ICE is doing. So please tell me, how is ICE or immigrations helping anything? How is ICE doing anything other than bringing about U.S. citizen death? We've had ICE since 2001. That was after 9/11. We actually set up ICE, I think, in about 2002. And we've had them for over 20 years now. This is the first time that we've had such a presence like this. It's ridiculous. They are flooding these cities. They are causing havoc. It's creating a circus. And what's it bringing? Is it bringing peace? Is it bringing more deportations? No. And no. We actually had more deportations when we worked in a system that was like how I described earlier, where like maybe 2 officers worked with ICE and they would just come and transport people out. And immigration was largely dealt with local police and, sheriff's departments. ICE would just put a detainer on you if you weren't, following immigration regulations. And actually, I'm okay with that. I actually largely am okay with how Obama handled deportations. Shit. Trump was doing the same thing in his first term. I don't know what like the purpose is to create this weird like quasi army that is only under the leadership of the administration apparently and DHS, and create this havoc that they are. Okay, Google deportation in 1954. It was much worse, but they didn't have cell phones. All right, sure. Deportation. Let's see, 1954. Why would they be deporting so much in 1954? What is it? Oh, Mexican. Okay. The Bracero program continued to recruit temporary workers from Mexico. The Immigration Bureau led roundups of Mexican nationals. The Bureau claimed to have deported 1 million Mexicans. And so that's like kind of close to what was deported in the 4 years, or actually, what was it, 8 years that Obama was president. I think he had up to 900,000 by the time he left. Yeah, I mean, that was something they did in 1954. They didn't have cell phones, so we do not know how that was handled. Maybe I need to read up a little bit on that just to see you know, if there's any reported deaths or violence that I would consider unnecessary. Because what I'm trying to say here is that this was an unnecessary death. Another thing I'm trying to say is that these people were considered peaceful protesters over on January 6th. They also were armed. The talking point now is Alex Preddy was armed and he went to a protest, so he therefore deserved what he got. If that's the case, then why didn't January 6th end up a mass grave? Can you answer me that? Because they were armed. They were assaulting officers. The closest thing that Alex Preddy did was touch an officer, I believe, on the side of his arm. Yeah, Dugald. Kyle Rittenhouse also brandishing a weapon, going to a protest, a weapon that the legality of his owning that weapon was very, very sketchy. I think he had somebody else purchase it for him and he took it over state lines. It's a little bit different because I guess he wasn't assaulting officers, but he was praised for bringing a firearm. Are you Trump or not? What? Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. Life happens. The problem is, where was Antifa involved? One person died. Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt's situation was completely different. She tried to rush into a locked Congress door, like window. They had firearms actually pointed at her and told her, you know, gave her fair warning. Was he given any kind of fair warning? Were firearms pulled on him before they were discharged even? I think they pulled their firearms out and discharged them within milliseconds. She wasn't driving a car or was armed. Do you know that? How do you know that? There were armed people at January 6th. That's like my whole point here. There are named people that had firearms on them. They were proven to have firearms on them. And yeah, she was storming and like doing seditious acts by trying to disrupt the peaceful like transfer of power when they were trying to ratify the vote. Like that's like literally in the Constitution as like what a seditious act would be. So the Ashley Babbitt talk, she should have complied. I guess she should have complied. Why didn't she comply? She maybe deserved it. You said that he did. Have a great day, Everett Price. Like blocking law enforcement. Blocking law enforcement. How was he blocking law enforcement? What I saw is he was recording with a camera, shouting. I think they had whistles. He might have been standing in the street, helping, you know, kind of direct traffic so they could get cars out without hurting anybody. I don't see where he was going in front of them or trying to impede on them. What's his name? Alex Preddy? Pretti? It's all over the internet. I don't know how you do not know Alex Preddy's name. Report out about an hour ago. Alex had already been tackled by ICE before. Yeah, I mean, Tris, like, if you watch the videos, a week before, and they tackled and broke his ribs. So they have now two incidences where one, they broke his ribs. Apparently, allegedly. I haven't confirmed anything here. All I saw, and I mean, like, really, you can take it into isolation, because they tried to say the same stuff with what's his face, that Ross, that unalived Renee Good, and he came back with a gun. JN, that is not indication of anything. It turns out in America you have the Second Amendment. You have no reason to tell anybody you're carrying a concealed weapon. It's in the law. Like, you can go on Minnesota law and see that if you are not asked specifically, are you carrying a firearm, you don't have to answer or let anybody know that you're carrying a firearm. That's the whole purpose of a concealed carry permit. Kyle Rittenhouse, multiple Jan 6 rioters all had firearms on them. Yet Kyle Rittenhouse is not unalived. Uh, these guys were like literally assaulting officers, law enforcement officers. They were all alive, or not unalived, and they were given pardons. Shit, I'm surprised if they were even given like awards. I mean, some of them are running for like elected seats. Rittenhouse didn't fight with a group of cops. Yeah, but these guys did. Do you not see what's happening right here? They're beating an officer. Why aren't all of these people lying on the ground like he was? Explain that to me. Get your goddamn government hands off the Second Amendment. What? Okay. The NRA is pissed. I agree. NRA does not want people to feel like they can't carry a firearm, especially at a protest. There's nothing that is against that. It's actually far more irresponsible to just announce you have a gun. Obviously, yeah, I agree. A lot of conservatives are sick of this shit. I hope they are. It's called murder. I agree. Rittenhouse didn't find. Get your goddamn government hands off the Second Amendment. Go to the gym. What? I can't find the original videos from the protest with Alex Preddy. Just look up like Alex Preddy video, and I'm sure that you will see like tons and tons of them. Unless you're talking about the January 6th protest, then I would just look up January 6th protest. There's going to be plenty there. Even Greg Abbott in Texas told Trump to F off. Wow. I didn't know that one. It's quote unquote different circumstances, right? I can play too. What's different circumstances? These? When these January 6th protesters were beating an officer and they were trying to say that Alex was assaulting an officer and that's why he deserved what he got, yet these guys weren't fired upon and they weren't unalived. So where's the different circumstances? Because what I'm hearing is you don't impede on a law officer's duty or assault a law officer while armed. Well, these guys were armed. They impeded, and there weren't a mass grave at the end of January 6th. I'll tell you that much. So I want to know, why is there a double standard? Dude, I can't imagine going along with all of the party lines. I'm not going off of party lines. I'm going off of just like straight up what happened here. I said earlier, I don't support the Democrats. I don't support Republicans. I have my own thoughts, my own opinions. Some of them fall in line with, maybe certain Democratic leaders. Some of them fall in line with independent leaders. So I don't understand why this has to be like split into this party line rhetoric, where I'm just asking, why is there a double standard? And I do say MAGA for a purpose, because I would say that they're not Republican. They don't even fall into their own party. They're just sycophants, I guess. They're brainwashed, and they're into a cult of personality that is called Donald Trump. All right, hold on. I bet gun sales went up on the left, though. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Rittenhouse brought a gun to the protest. Agreed there, too. Yeah, brand new admiral jobs in ICE. A lot of the people that were here literally assaulting officers are now working for ICE as the ones that are the victims here, right? Like, it's like the same people that were once beating an officer that are now saying, if you touch me while I'm an officer, I'm going to, put two in you. I think Trump is insane. I agree. What's the situation on the left? What situation? What's even going on with like Democrats? It seems like the left is speaking out more, but I haven't seen much as far as, the Democrats doing anything other than 7 of them signing for more money for ICE so they can continue to do things and buy unnecessary equipment to keep doing what they're doing. Dugald, still aren't mad enough yet. I agree. We aren't mad enough yet. The Democrats uh, aren't for sure. That's why I'm like, screw them. Chuck Schumer should have been fired. Hakeem Jeffries, uh, Cory Booker, the leadership that's over in the Democrats would have been fired had it been my choice after the election. You lose an election, you cut the leadership and you go in a new direction. They didn't do that. And since then, they've like flubbed up a government shutdown, which, could have actually maybe have done something. But then at the last minute, they were like, nah, never mind. Yeah, get out of here. I'm done with that. Let's see. I think Biden was a sponge. Sure. Yeah, screw Biden. I don't care about Biden. Both left and right are in on this. There's no side that is right. I To a degree, I agree. I would say that the right wingers and MAGA are much more involved, specifically when it comes to like the presence of ICE as this like secret police or like Gestapo. What's the phone number? It's tinyurl.com/deconjunk. That's how you get on. It's free. It's just through your browser. You could type that in, and it can get you here on as a guest. We can talk about it. Let's see. No, your stream has two pictures. One that is recent that I recognize, and another on the left I don't recognize. Okay, yeah, redeemed in Jesus Christ. The one on the left here is January 6th. They were considered peaceful protesters by MAGA and MAGA, administration. While this one, he was considered a domestic terrorist. So I don't understand what the difference is, because these rioters were also armed and they were most definitely assaulting, if not like battering officers, where he was said that since he touched an officer with a pew pew in its holster safely, that he deserved what he got. But these guys got nothing but pardons, praise. There wasn't like a mass grave that happened at the end of January 6th. So I don't understand the double standard here. Do you see it? I can explain more if you don't see the double standard. Mega did not get full info on January 6th. They only saw curated footage. Can we stop at the left right for once? I was just saying that, yeah, both are pretty bad, but it's very clear that one kind of dips the scales a little bit harder. I mean, if you don't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. Open your eyes, read more than just Fox News, or I don't even know. Do you even read the news or listen or research anything? Because if you did, you would see. All right. USA, most of you think that we were on the wrong side in World War II. What? Who? Oh, you mean like the neo-Nazis? Yeah, I would agree. They think that we should have been on H-Man's side. I would love for us all to move forward and fix this country. I agree. I don't know. Maybe that this will be kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back, if you will. I think that seeing some people on the right slash MAGA like actually stand up and say, hey, you guys kind of like rushed to a conclusion here, like Kristi Noem and Bovino, by saying that he was there to like massacre and create maximum damage, where they're saying maybe wait until an investigation goes on. Chris, you used your real... Okay. Let's see. What else? Yeah, if you want to call in, it's tinyurl.com/deconjunk. It on TikTok, I for some reason don't have guest access. I think I have to be live for so long just because it's been so long since I've been live. Been dealing with a lot of stuff. What? Mr. Big Boss, can you type that in again? Because all I see is he got unalived for bring gay. So I don't know. Can't heal. What do you mean by that, Mr. Muscleman? So yeah, I guess my point is that this isn't right or left. My point is MAGA, who is just, part of the right, not representative of the whole right. I'll give you that. Why is there a double standard when it comes to the outcomes of these two situations, this one being January 6th and the beating of an officer, this one being what recently just happened with Alex Preddy up in Minneapolis? People said that since he assaulted an officer by, I guess, like grazing his hand on this ICE officer's side, that he deserved what he got because he was armed. These guys have also, they were armed. I mean, you can actually see. I mean, they might not have a pew pew in this picture, but they definitely did. If you read any kind of like reports about them, they actually have named people that were armed with firearms. Let's see, Jay Paka. I'm still curious about the double standard and hypocrisy on how 2A is bad, but we need to protect it. Quote, he shouldn't carry a pew pew, but also people saying that he should be able to carry pew pew. So I think the point is that it's falling on uh, who you want to side with as what truth is. Uh, the people that are like Trump and Noam and Kash Patel have embarrassingly been saying, don't bring a firearm to a protest. There was plenty of firearms at this protest. They were called peaceful protesters. They were called patriots. They were called all kinds of swimmingly glorious things from people like Trump and a bunch of his cronies. Uh, for some reason, though, if you aren't, I guess, storming the Capitol and you have a firearm concealed, and not brought out, then somehow you deserve it. When you get unalived by, you know, 5 people emptying their magazines in you, and yeah, that's where we're standing. So yeah, if you want to talk about it, uh, like I said, to request up tinyurl.com/deconjunk. If not, I'll just talk to chat for a little bit, just trying to understand this type of double standard. I can switch it up. I do have a do you support ICE? Uh, yeah, Rittenhouse was their baby for bringing one to a protest. Another double standard that's going on. Oh, thanks, Bowie. I just noticed the finger heart. And thanks, Gaster. Let's see. You haven't got the sense to own butter knives. Yee boy. So I can change this to do you support ICE? Maybe that's a little bit of an easier topic for people to maybe discuss. So let me see if I can find that one. That one's gone. Oh gosh, browse. Here we go. Okay. So this one is just basically, do you support ICE and why? If anybody has any kind of thoughts on that, again, you can call in by going to tinyurl.com/deconjunk. We could talk about it that way. Even if you are on TikTok, I don't have guest features for some reason. It's because I haven't gone live in quite a while. So I will be able to have guest features soon. I will be probably running this topic for a little bit and trying to go live more because I think these things need to be hashed out. I support that we need ICE, but I do not support ICE and their actions. Now, I agree with that. And maybe I could kind of amend my question, which is, do you support the presence of ICE the way that it is right now by this like mass hiring, rushing of training, apparently, and if they even got any training, and then flooding cities with them? Ashley Babbitt didn't have a firearm and was unalived. Ashley Babbitt should have complied, apparently. Apparently, if you don't comply, you get unalived. Isn't that your like whole like stance? Like when it came to like George Floyd or any of the like many shootings of African American people. So the Ashley Babbitt discussion doesn't make any sense to me. She was rushing Congress in a seditious way. She was trying to interrupt the peaceful transfer of power. That is like labeled as seditious acts in the Constitution. Alan, did you not read my message? Ashley Babbitt was breaking into a government building, was careful at gunpoint. Yeah, I mean, she was warned. She broke a window, entered. I supported Trump because I thought he'd do the right things, but now neither blue or red, both are corrupted. Crimson, I'm with you on that. Even from the other side, I supported Democrats uh, years ago, thinking, yeah, they're gonna do the right thing, right? Uh, and I'm just seeing nothing. They're just sitting on their hands. Uh, at least when the Republicans were, the minority in the House and in Congress, things like that, they were able to, you know, put a stumbling block up. Check Discord. Oh yeah, there's a C at the end. Okay, thank you for that, Jen. I really appreciate that. Actually, I will move that over. I didn't realize TikTok was. Maybe I can put it. Sure, just put it under me. All right, yeah. Does that look better, Jen? Let me know. So yeah, let's talk about it, guys. Do you support ICE? And if you do, why? I actually worked with ICE. I said this a little bit earlier. I used to work at jail. That was an ICE like detainee facility. We would deport about 30 people, maybe like once a month or maybe once every like 2 weeks. It was usually around 30 people. We covered a large swath of the Midwest when it came to ICE deportations. The way that that was all handled, and this was like during the end of the Obama administration and the beginning of the Trump. The way that that was all handled was two ICE officers were all I ever met, like saw. They would come in, very at it was undisclosed time, so no people like couldn't interfere. We would find out like maybe minutes before the actual releasing would happen. We would give the detainees their property in cash, and then they would be let go to get on a plane and go to whatever country that they originally came from. That didn't involve sending like some sort of like quasi army into states or cities. There was no need for that. It was actually handled with just regular detaining that was going on by local law enforcement. When a suspected immigrant was detained, they would run them through ICE, and ICE would put on a detainer. And once they like kind of did their thing for like all the U.S. related charges, the ICE detainer was then put into place, and then they would be deported if they weren't within ICE regulations. They could, get a lawyer, like an immigration lawyer, or they could say like, hey, I filed paperwork, things like that. This was once again, like I said, during the Obama administration, where we actually deported more undocumented immigrants, and we didn't need this kind of Gestapo like secret police that was going in door to door trying to capture these people, and they're doing it at a rate that was less than what we were doing under Obama. I mean, like that's another talking point I've been seeing on social media, is that Obama was the deporter in chief and everybody was fine with that. Yeah, because it was done in a peaceful manner. It wasn't done uh, with this circus that's going on. That's pissing people off, making them protest, making them stand up. There's Kids that are being rounded up at their houses or out in front of, like, it was humane. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there were like kids in cages. That was, I don't support any of that. Separating families, I don't support any of that. I mean, I get that adults can't be in a jail with their kids, but for the most part, it went through pretty smoothly. And they did it at a higher rate, which should make the people that support ICE support that method more. So I don't understand why we are sending in 3,000 agents, per se, to Minneapolis, which, like I said earlier, employs 600 officers for the metro for all of their law enforcement. Now there's 3,000 extra law enforcers only meant for immigration. And what are they doing? They're creating havoc. They're, in a weird way, kind of reflecting what the Gestapo were doing by going door to door, by creating ruckuses, by, spraying protesters with spray, pulling them out of their cars. What has it ended up with? We have 2 deaths out of 3 incidences now. Both of those deaths have been of American citizens. So what is ICE doing in this like new Trumpian, fascist, like, method that is any better than what we were doing before when we had more deportations? You know nothing. Okay, Slick Nick, go on the website here, tinyurl.com/deconjunk. Let's talk about it. What do I not know? I worked with ICE. What do I not know? I knew exactly what an ICE detainer looked like. I would call ICE. I would charge ICE for the inmates that we held for ICE. They would bring them to the facility I worked at for 6 years. I was in charge of records and accounting when it came to inmates. I would process their bonds. I would process their paperwork. So please tell me what I don't know. Gonfall, this guy is a moron. What? How am I a moron? I'm not even trying to like say much other than what is going on now is unnecessary. Like, why don't we do it the way we've always been doing it? Which is put an ICE detainer on somebody when they get arrested. If they don't fall within the like legalities of immigration, then deport them. That's fine. I'm okay with that. We don't need to be going door to door. There's been multiple instances where the wrong person has been apprehended, sometimes U.S. citizens. So what is this gaining other than fear? Inciting people, maybe inciting people to try and commit violence so they can enact the Insurrection Act, so they can have martial law. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it does kind of seem that way. Why else would you put 3,000 agents in a place that was normally watched by 600 law enforcers? So, that's 3 to 4 times the amount that they normally staff. And those that 600 were not like always on staff. I mean, they would go in shifts. So it wasn't always 600 officers out there enforcing what they were doing. So why do we have 3,000 ICE agents for a smaller percentage of that total population? Make that make sense. Because what that looks like to me is directed. It looks like, perhaps Trump and whoever saw that there was Somali fraud going on in Minneapolis. They had failures over in Chicago and Portland. So they thought, okay, well, let's go and use this as a means to send all these agents over to Minneapolis and round them up. Trump is a brilliant leader. Slick Nick, again, anybody who wants to call in, tinyurl.com/decon JUNC. It can bring you to Video Ninja. I'll bring you up. We can talk about it. Yo mama. What? But he didn't stop the war. He didn't come through on no tax on tips over time. He didn't get us tariff checks. Like he said, what promises was kept? Exactly. I mean, it does seem like he's throwing a bunch of, untrained idiots under the guise of law enforcement to all these cities to just basically create havoc and hopefully, come up with a reason to probably to either get voter rolls from blue states or to in to enact the Insurrection Act and create martial law so he can lead with impunity. No support war, no support protest. I don't know what that means. There are very few of us in the US that aren't here as a result of immigration. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also apparently a nation of racists. I agree. Because it's very clear that white immigrants are probably not being rounded up, with lack of a better term here. It's the brown people that might have an accent, that they'll be asking for your papers, which is a term that actually was very popular in the 30s and 40s in Poland and in Germany, if you get what I'm saying. I can't join. I'm trying. You went to tinyurl.com/deconjunk. Should work. I just tested it before I went live. ICE. Well, I didn't see that one. What didn't I? ICE goes for after illegals, you dimwit. ICE used to not go after really anybody. They would put detainers on people that were arrested for other charges. Sometimes, yes, there were reports that were brought into ICE, and then ICE would do maybe a raid on a place like a meatpacking plant. Those did happen, but for the most part, if they were offenders, which is like who Trump and everybody else, Kristi Noem, they're all trying to say that these were, dangerous people. They're offenders. Well, if they're offenders, then they're going to get arrested for creating these offenses, right? And then you can put the ICE detainer on them. And then they can get deported. That's how we did it under the Obama administration. There weren't deaths of U.S. citizens happening when that was going on. But now there are. So please, explain that to me. Once again, if you want to call in, tinyurl.com/deconjunk. I don't have the guest feature open on my TikTok live. I might, check it here after this live. I'm not really getting much traction over on TikTok. Not too bad over on YouTube. But let's be 100. It's all show. Yeah, I mean, Flanker, I agree. Like, what's going on right now is it's major like flex that's going on from the administration. They're trying to flex power. I don't think that it's a like puppet show that like what you're seeing is not actually what's happening, because people are unaliving. US citizens are unaliving. I don't care if it seemed like they might have ran a car, towards somebody, or, they were armed and legally, and they didn't brandish their weapon, and somehow that allows them to be unalived. That one really doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have at least a little bit of plausible deniability when it comes to Renee Good, but for Alex Preddy, like, that was just straight up execution. What demonstration of power did we have under the last administration? What do you mean by demonstration of power? Are you trying to say like flooding a city with 3,000, like 3 to 4 times their own law enforcement, causing their law enforcement to be overworked, because now you have disruptions that are being caused by 3,000 untrained ICE agents that are just, repackaged Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Is that what you mean? The Ice Wallow P initiatives? Babigo, I don't know what you mean. What demonstration of power do we have under the last administration? I don't know. Yeah, I still don't know what that means. Did we look like a strong country under the last administration? Yeah, I think we looked like a pretty strong country, even under Biden. As far as like economics and like global image goes, right now we're like the laughing stock of the world. They don't seem strong. Trump seems crazy, unhinged. He's a wild card. You don't know when he's gonna push that button. Uh, yeah, that might scare them, but it's not because he's strong. It's because he's insane. Maybe I'm oblivious, but I feel like this is a topic that's really hard to find supporters for, let alone call-ins. Why is this a hard topic? Do you support ICE? Yes or no? Call in. Let me know why. Let me know why not. I mean, I could even put it to, do you support what ICE is doing right now? Uh, yeah, call me, Cafe. You can call tinyurl.com/deconjunk. I'll bring you right up onto the live. We can discuss it. It's not a debate. It can be a discussion too. Like I'm willing to hear people out. I am a good faith debater or discusser, if you will. I am willing to have my mind be changed. Right now, what I'm seeing is unnecessary, is what I'm saying. I'm saying get ICE out of Minneapolis. There's really, it doesn't make any sense to me. The whole like fraud, the Somali fraud has already been dealt with. That was dealt with in 2024. So I don't understand why that was used as a precedent to cause what has now led to two deaths of American citizens. What's the call in number? There's not a call in number. You just go on a browser, you type in tinyurl.com backslash, or is that forward slash decon JUNC. If Obama was president again, everybody be cool with us all each. The gays would be happy. Maybe. Oh, does the chat obscure it? Sorry. Here, let me try and figure something else out then. Darn it. I don't want that to be obscured. It's also in the description. Maybe this will look a little bit easier. Sorry, it's just framing when it comes to these little tiny screens, especially when you're trying to do this on a vertical format. Yeah, on mobile. I mean, and that's where I put it on mobiles because anymore, I think more people watch these apps on mobile. Do you? Oh yeah, it's right under the do you support Icebox. Now it's above my head. Local PD is not supporting the feds. Agreed. And isn't that weird? That local police is not supporting federal police? That's kind of different, right? Is there a reason for that? Is it maybe because the feds are creating more havoc and problems for local police when they were doing just fine before? Local police would actually apprehend immigration related arrests, and that's how things were dealt with on a larger scale. What's happening in Minnesota, because you can't do that shit in Texas and Oklahoma. What, you can't send ICE into there? I think a better question would be, why would any country want illegal slash undocumented immigrants in their, or citizens in their country? Undocumented citizens is a nonsense term. If they're citizens, then they're documented. Uh, I don't think anybody wants undocumented immigrants in their country, but we're trying to say that there's no need for this extra BS that's going on right now. All right, I think we got somebody up here. I'll add you to the scene. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I do hear you.
Yeah. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much, not much. Let me check one more thing. Say
Oh,
something for me.
yeah.
Okay,
Good
yeah,
good
you're
evening.
coming through. You're coming through. What's your name? Darren?
My
J.
name's
Darren?
yeah, JD. Yeah,
JD. All right,
yeah,
JD. So what's your thoughts?
yeah. The whole ice thing. It's a very messy thing, man. I'm gonna be honest. And don't matter what side you're on. If you're picking sides, they just try to separate you, and then you know
Yeah.
they destroy people. But with everything going on, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not well informed on the incidents of like people being shot. But my two piece has to do correlated with my family. My parents came from Central America. My mother's from a third world country. Now it's a thriving country, but it's called El Salvador. And when she came here illegally. She came here because in the midst of it, they were having civil war. And what ended
Well,
up
I mean,
happening is when she, go
was
ahead,
that
go ahead.
possibly within like the asylum? Did it fall within asylum rules, or was
So,
it just kind of
so,
like she just came over and she was like, "I'll deal with it when I get there."
so it was kind of in the midst of it because the thing was is that in the time when she was leaving, she had seeked asylum in Mexico. Geographically, like El Salvador is more south of Mexico. You know, so when she was leaving El Salvador, then came to Mexico, and then she met my father there in Mexico, and they came here when they were very young. They met here, but they didn't do it in the silent way. So they were breaking laws illegally here, and they had the repercussions. They told me stories about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they took it on the chin. They learned that what we're in a different country, and we gotta oblige by the regulations here. It took time. It took time. Like, don't get me wrong. I believe the immigration system is completely flawed. It's really messed up. Like
Oh, I
it
agree.
doesn't help people.
No.
There's been people who it's benefited, and it's benefited my dad because he was able to he got his residency at first, right? Because he was
Mm-hmm.
illegally here, and then they kicked him, and then he'd come continuously. So he knew he was breaking the law,
Right.
but eventually he was able to get his residency. So it took 4.5 years and lots of paperwork and lots of payments and immigration work. Then he got his residency, right? He wanted to respect the regulations here because he wanted to be here. And
Right.
then he got his citizenship. So my dad's the second oldest of 13. So he was able to sponsor in my uncles and aunts. He's part of the baby boomer generation because they had it over there in Central America too. They're like everybody's having kids, and you know he wanted to honor and respect the land he was on. At first he just had a. It was messy. He was
Right.
here illegally. So then he dealt with the repercussions. He learned that he had to do it the right way and honor this land's regulations. It was just messy with the portion of the immigration system, you
I
know.
Yeah,
And
and I would agree.
go
Like
ahead.
the system of gaining, citizenship is long. Uh, and there was a bill that right before Trump was elected, uh, a
Okay.
bipartisan bill that was put forth to get more judges, to get kind of an easier process into
Yeah.
like exactly what you're talking about, and it was shot
Get the
down.
ball rolling, right?
Yeah, it was
Oh.
shot down by Trump because he wanted to run on it. Uh,
Well,
so
I don't know
the
that much about it, but I'd
Yeah,
have to do my research. I'm just being honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because that would be disingenuous if I just,
right. No, I
jumped off
agree.
the information.
The system's broke. What I was kind of more referring to was how like deportations were being handled. Like
Yeah.
right now, you've heard a little bit about what's going on in Minnesota. Like they're going like door to door. You know,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
pretty much if you have brown skin or an accent, you're probably going to be approached by these guys that are masked. They're in fatigues. They're in bulletproof vests. They're carrying all kinds of weapons. and they're
Yeah.
shouting and it's scary, right? That was not what was going on, like, say, under Obama, or even like Trump's first term. It was more or
Well,
less, like if you got pulled over or if you broke a crime, ICE would put a detainer on you. You would go through this court system. You would deal with your stuff in the U.S. and then you would deal with immigration after that. And if it came out that you weren't,
okay.
like, say, applying for visa or a work visa or asylum or
Yeah.
some sort of, like,
Right.
process to get citizenship, then yeah, you would get deported. And to me, that's I'm not really against that, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think
the
there's. I think
process
there
sucks. I
is.
wish the process was better. I'm against, but
Yeah.
like as far as like
Yeah.
handling deportations, I thought that they it's a lot of what they had to do, and I think they had a good spot within the process of arresting and all of that. That it was being handled without this kind of fear tactic that's
The
going on.
chaotic mass.
Yeah, it's like a
Well,
circus.
like I think I look. I can say yeah. It is it's a whole blunder of just chaotic mess on every side with it. Okay. But
Yeah,
let me give you first hand experiences with it where
sure.
I live in the state of Arizona. Okay,
Oh gosh,
we're a border. Yeah, yeah. I'm born and raised here, brother,
right.
and I'm borderline, not borderline, but the border's right there. Where I live out in Arizona. It takes about 3.5 hours to be at the border of Mexico,
Okay, so pretty close.
and yeah, yeah. So man, I'm Hispanic, so I'm just gonna say this, man. There's a lot of Hispanics out here. There's a
Right.
gang load of Hispanics out here. But what I'm trying to get to is back in '08, as soon as we had Obama in, uh, ICE routes were still taking place. They still had guns. They still had face masks on. They did. Now I'll tell you firsthand experience because you know how I had mentioned about my dad coming over here. So my mom, she's been here for 40 years. My mom,
Mm-hmm.
okay, law abiding citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Pays her taxes. And in fact, she has a little food truck business. Shameless plug. She sells what's called pupusas. It's an ethnic dish,
Okay.
and people love it. But what I'm trying to get to is that when I was younger, okay, they were doing these mass raids and stops. My mom has a residency. She's never been granted her citizenship. Okay,
Right.
so she would have to have her paperwork on her because she was warned if she is stopped, they can check. Because of her skin, obviously, but there's flags they need to check because certain people who are here didn't have the citizenship. So we knew to respect the part of the government having to do that portion. Yeah, it got in the way sometimes, like annoying, but it has to do with us too being like, okay, you know what? They're doing their job, and we need to do our part.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I saw it, and when they had the stops at streets or sometimes at grocery stores, like grocery stores that are Hispanic, um, they would be out there, but the people wouldn't be so. I don't want to just blame the people. Okay, let's get this straight.
Right.
But the people wouldn't be so impulsive to immediately run or immediately cause a scene. Okay, I feel like nowadays everybody's like on the short end of the stick when it comes to anything.
Yeah, they're on the edge.
And
Like everybody's on edge. It feels like, and
yeah, yeah.
it's wild.
So what happened was on several occasions we would go to the store, and we knew it was precaution and just things we had to deal with. So they would ask me, "Are you used to it?" I'm born and raised here. I tell them, and my mom, she would show her paperwork. So it was part of it. We had understood. Yeah, it could be annoying, but we're not gonna be in a way. We're not gonna be negligent not to be law-abiding citizens. So the gentlemen and women of that time who were, ICE agents or things like that, they would greet us. They would be respectful. And people who didn't have the proper paperwork or were here illegally, they weren't fighting. There were minimal instances where they were, but the majority of the time, they're like, okay, I got caught. Yeah, I'm here illegally.
Yeah.
And
So
it happens.
when I worked at the ICE, like it's a jail. It was a county jail, but it's also
Okay.
it was like an ICE facility for the Midwest. I would talk to, like, I was saying earlier, like about 30 different deportees, uh,
Hmm.
like every 2 weeks, maybe once a month sometimes. But they would come up. I would have to sign them out. I'd have to, say like, okay, this is all your property. This is all the cash that you came in with. We would give it to them in cash, not in like check form or card form, because we realized like, you can't use a credit card, in El Salvador, probably, maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah,
so we'd give them cash, and for the most
yeah.
part, I mean, a lot of people were not combative. They weren't very even mad. It was kind of a overall, like you got me,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I think there was like an understanding there where now it's like I don't know. It just feels extra. I guess is the
I
only way that I could like describe it. If I had to like give it a word, it'd be
well, I
extra.
think look. Let's understand and establish that deportations and regulation of seeing people if they're citizen here is not nothing new. We gotta understand that. To check to see if somebody's here is legally or legally is not nothing new.
Right.
Why? Because this nation. I'm a veteran. I love this nation. My parents came here and they made it. They live the American dream. I'm one of 6 kids. We're all adults. We have families and we have businesses. I have my own construction business. I work in construction. I'm a subcontractor, and I have my family. Like,
Right.
this is nothing new to us, right? We understand that. Understand seeing there's people here who come here and they break the law, or they broke the law in the process of coming here. It's not nothing new. It's
Can I
been
ask
happening
you
for
something?
decades. Yeah,
Um.
what's going on?
So, like I could just hear like a tinge of like an accent. I don't know how you like present, like if you present, like a little bit like Hispanic or anything like that. But what
Okay.
I'm asking, I guess, is compared to like before, I guess, are you a little bit more nervous that you might get like targeted?
No,
No,
and
you're
I
not.
and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. But let me get back real quick to what I was talking about, and
Sure.
then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll answer that real quick.
Okay.
It's nothing new. I think um what me and you both like hit the nail on with, where we concurred, was the position of everybody's just having a short fuse now.
Right.
Like, everybody's just always mad, or it's negative and like turmoil with people. There's no bearing no more. There's no respect for each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like how we're having civil conversation. That's
Right.
far and few,
Right.
right? And it's only a recipe for disaster when that's not there. And this is something that's not new, like people being checked for documentation. So it's only a bad recipe, and that's where we get these chaotic events, these like on both sides, because it's
Right.
not it's not. I'm not just saying that it's just one side. It's both sides. Like, nobody trusts the government no more. Nobody trusts like politicians and things like that. But I'm just like establishing that it's just a recipe for disaster, because we have no patience or understanding to, like, okay, let's see what the rules are. What do we need to change? If we don't like the rules, how can we go about it? That's a whole different, rabbit hole. But let's go back to that question you asked about fearing. Um, I don't, and I'll tell you firsthand why.
Okay.
Okay. One is I don't put my trust, and this has to do with what I believe. Okay. One has to. The biggest thing is I put my trust and faith in the Lord. Okay. I'm not trying to push this around anybody, but this is me. I can't speak for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I put my trust in Him, and if it were to happen, I wouldn't feel good. Like if I get profiled and they ask for a document, I wouldn't. But a lot of things I gotta have, processing in my head. Oh wait, okay, I know this is going on. This isn't something new. I've been dealing. This is something that we worked through when I'm 30, so since I
Right.
was 6 years old, I've been seeing this.
Right.
And it's part of it. So it's like, let me do my part to the best of my ability. I was born and raised here, so I know I'm not gonna cause a scene. I can lean on that. I trust God. And then second is like, what can I do to do my part to make sure I'm not on the news? Man was shot, and
Right.
things like that, because we have those instances, right?
I
So
guess what I'm trying to say though is that and don't get me wrong, I could be completely wrong about this, right? But from what I
Okay.
have seen, what ICE agents have told people that are U.S. citizens that might have an accent or might have a darker complexion is,
Yeah.
where's your papers? Do you carry your papers on you at all times?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Well, I carry my ID, so I have
You
ID.
need more than ID. You need a birth certificate,
Okay,
proof of citizenship.
I understand that, and if that's the case, because I wouldn't say that's always the case. If it happens, then you know, that's situational. I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen. You know, if it were to happen to me and they had asked me where's my papers, I would comply with them as best as I could to let them know, hey, this is my ID. Here's my social, and this is who I say I am. Here's my documentation that I can give you at the moment.
Right.
Okay. And let's go a little bit further, saying they didn't accept that. Okay, I'm not gonna try to figure
Then
out,
you're being detained on the premise
yeah,
that
yeah,
you are possibly an undocumented immigrant, to
yes,
which you may be shipped to a number of detainee facilities, such as Florida.
exactly. Uh-huh.
Uh,
I go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it's just that doesn't kind of give you a little bit of apprehension when before, you might be detained and held at like a local facility, like a county jail, and then they get a hold of ICE, and then your family is allowed to bring your papers at that point,
Well, well,
or
well
bring them to like a judge, and
uh,
then.
that that's that was happening back then too. It happened to my uncle,
Oh, really?
who, yeah, in the state of Arizona, when he was, because remember, like I told you, my dad's one of 13,
Right.
so he was able to sponsor him in with residency at first.
Okay.
Well, they didn't speak English. They had identification, but not all the proper documentation with them. So what ended up happening with my uncle was he was sent to the closest regulated ICE, detention center,
Right.
and
Yeah. It
being in the
depends on where you're at. Yeah.
yeah,
Because like
so
I was
that's like,
saying, with our Midwest
go ahead.
one, you might get caught in Kansas, but you're brought all the way up to Omaha. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, like when he was brought there, he was brought to a different state, which next door it was Texas, but
Hmm.
they sent him to California. So once they released them with proper proof of residential documentation, what ended up happening is that they sent him back, and then from there, all his possessions he had, his wallet, his necklace, and it was a pager at the time. They had that all with him, and they gave it to him, and he was let out here in front of the court, and it was several other people, you know,
Hmm.
they were cordial about it. Obviously, you're gonna get frustrated because he got taken, like,
Hmm.
but he knew, okay, this is the law of this land, and let's work to make things better. Let's see how we can better it, and that was part of it. So he kept documentation with him. He kept his ID, he kept his residency paperwork,
Hmm.
and then eventually, when he got his citizenship, he got a copy of it just in case, and he has it in his vehicle with him, while he has the original copy at his home, and he still had his license and his identification to show, just in case, because he had that happen again where they had asked for proof of citizenship, and he had the paperwork there, or if he didn't have it in his pocket, he's like, let's go to my vehicle and I can show you. And they were cordial enough not to be impulsive immediately. And they had their hand on his elbow, but when they got to the vehicle, he showed them paperwork, and they said thank you, and he said, okay, thank you, I appreciate you doing your job, and they went upon their
Uh,
you know
I might not have caught this. When did that one happen? Was that like recently? Like since this whole kind of different form of ice that's going on? Because
no, no,
I would say that
this
nowadays
go ahead.
ice is a little bit different, where they have this
Yeah,
actual like physical presence that they can send into these cities. They
yeah,
did have ice raids, but like they've really upped the amount of people that are working for ice right now. So,
yeah. I think, yeah, you're right, I think now it's more prevalent, like it's more extreme, you know
mhm. Yeah.
um because the we had to look at back then. Um, the individuals who were coming here illegally, like my dad and those who were telling me about it, it wasn't in such mass migration waves like how it is in the recent years.
Yeah, I can
Um,
see. Okay.
so that's gonna build up a stronger and more occurrences of these events. Does that make sense? Like, you know,
To an
if you
extent, actually, like I think the largest surge was following actual like Venezuelan disruption that happened
yeah,
in
okay,
2018, and then
yeah,
2019, and then in 2019, I think, or 2018 or 2019 is where there was a large spike in Venezuelan immigration that went on.
immigration.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Undocumented and asylee seekers, but I guess I would say that why did Trump go and disrupt their government? Why it kind of is. There's always an action or reaction to every action here, so
Mm-hmm.
I would have said, don't disrupt a government and then not expect a large presence of immigrants when you've disrupted their whole way of life. If you destroy their economy, they can't buy anything. Their children are starving. They're gonna want to try and find a better life. And where do you go when you're in
Yeah,
Central and South America? And that's more than likely going to be America, the
yeah,
U.S. And so yeah, and the second part about asking for papers and everything, I think that if you are a US citizen, you shouldn't have to carry your papers. You shouldn't be profiled. There are
I
ways to
agree.
find out if you are uh, legally here. They have I-9s. They have, like e-filing that goes on. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
try and find a job, there's, people can report you, I guess. That's a little sketchy. But
Yeah,
for the most part, it was kind of like if you committed a crime, uh, you would go to jail or get booked. And then
yeah,
that's when they would kind of look into, okay, like that's when they ask you when they book you, they say, are you a citizen of the United States? Yes or no? Where do you come from? Like what is your heritage or what have you? Like they'll say like, oh, okay,
yeah,
like, are you white? Indigenous, are you, and even now actually indigenous people are being part of those that are getting detained simply because
mm,
they may look, I mean, like especially like in Arizona,
yeah. They
and
might be profiled as immigrant people, like Mexicans
yeah,
and stuff like that come over.
because yeah, the
Yeah, I
indigenous
got you.
look like a possible Mexican or Hispanic person. So
Yeah.
it's kind of scary that people that were
Well,
once not afraid are now. But I mean, that's why I wanted to ask if you were like a little bit more nervous to be out and
yeah, yeah.
about. It's
Well, I
just
appreciate you
yeah.
breaking down like why you asked that question,
Mhm.
because it's a lot of things in between that you had mentioned that there are subjects we need to talk about,
Right.
and how you said about the cause and effect, right? The root of whatever the case might be is
Right, like
with the
don't disrupt a
situation.
country and then not like if you're going to disrupt a country and you know pretty much cause a mass migration, which we did see, uh yeah, maybe you do have to like put batten down the hatches on the borders, or maybe you set up a system that makes it an easier landing pad so people that are seeking help or asylum are able to
Yeah,
find those things.
yeah. I think the one thing we need to understand though, like we have to make a distinction between cultures, and I say that for a reason, brother, because
Hmm.
I can tell you firsthand experiences from, and this is how it has a connection to it. Okay, um, when my mom and dad came over here, and that's why I mentioned it, like respecting the law of the land, like the
Hmm.
yeah, the law of the land. The cultures in certain lands in certain places, um, they that culture isn't about that. The culture is about you where you step and you do you. And
Okay.
the thing is that we have to have some bound principles to have what was been able to help uh make this land great. I'm not gonna say it's completely great. I'm not the type of like I'm gonna be I'm gonna be clear. Like there's
Right.
some ins and outs that are really messed up. Okay, but the culture is just a part of it because when my father was coming here, he would tell me about it, and I've seen it firsthand myself. Where people who are coming, some people came with the intentions to live the American dream of what they were told.
Right.
Being able to get a home, being able to get a job, being able to have a family, because in the culture they lived in or the community they came from, that wasn't there. It was far and few,
Mm-hmm.
and it was scarce. You know, I don't ever want my kids to ever be in the situation. But my mom at the age of 8, she was having bullets fly over her head, like
Right. So it sounds to
Civil
me
War.
like, she was a refugee. If she was if like trying to come to America to not have bullets flying over your head,
Wait,
that's
but she
what,
was a.
like,
But
you could say, like, hey, there's a reason for me to not feel safe in my own country, and that's why we have asylum laws in the U.S.
yes.
And when you do come, you step on U.S. soil, and then that's when you declare asylum. Uh,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't understand that. They think that you could
Hmm.
somehow declare asylum before you step on the soil. I don't know how, like, what, call ahead, but
Yeah.
it's
Call ahead.
just, I agree. The system, I think, needs a lot of work, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to like the process of getting citizenship. I think that
Yeah.
they can do things like having more judges, so they're not overloaded on their dockets. Maybe
Yeah.
lawyers too, and allowing for
Absolutely.
that process to be done more smoothly. Because the sooner you become a citizen, and then you're a taxpayer, you can get
Yeah.
jobs and pay the taxes and help bring the economy up. But
Hmm.
when it comes to this new presence of like ICE, say in like Minneapolis or Portland or Chicago, um, what I'm seeing now, which is different, is this kind of like armed forces like coming in
Okay.
to a whole
Yeah.
city and going door by door. I mean, they might have done that on the border. I think there is something about, like, within 100 miles of the border patrol can come and serve
Hmm.
and do whatever they need to do.
Search.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stop and do all that. I think that the profiling, is it's a tough subject, because how do you determine who is an immigrant or not? And like I said, maybe right in up front you don't. Maybe you wait until they break the law and then you look into it. Or maybe you wait
Yeah.
until they sign up for assistance or something like that. Uh, and then kind of go from there, instead of going door to door, creating havoc, scaring kids. I've seen so many videos of kids just like screaming and crying because they don't understand what's happening, like, to their parents. Their parents might understand, but they don't. And I think that
Yeah.
that's something that we need to look at, because why are
It's
we instilling
disheartening.
any kind of
It,
fear like that?
yeah. Yeah. It is disheartening to see, like, you don't want a family separated. But we have to be honest, because here's the thing too with my family, okay? And I can't speak for everybody, but when my mom was here and her residential, like she had like a permit to be able to stay, and it was every 6 years she had to renew it. Uh,
Yeah,
she knew the risk if she didn't renew it,
Hello?
right,
because as the time passed, right, there was more kids in the family, so the risk reward aspect ratio only got higher. So she knew she had to get cover her P's and Q's,
right,
right? She knew needed to show up at least 3 months prior to the going to court, making sure she's setting her date. She's telling her job, hey, okay, I'm
right,
taking this day off, whether they like it or not. I'm gonna make sure my paperwork is good so that I
right, right,
can
right.
be
I mean,
here.
yeah,
And
that's gonna take
but
priority.
yeah, yeah. So but here's the thing, like a lot of the people who I see get uh they're getting taken from their fam, they a lot of them, they'll abuse that system of seeking asylum. They 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 will abuse what is meant there for the beneficial of people and twist it. And what happens is that it's gonna cause it's gonna have an effect. It's gonna have an effect where people, okay, you seek asylum, but why didn't you continue on your paperwork of your citizenship or residency?
Okay.
Well,
Okay, go on.
I saw it where to the point where it's not the case for everybody, but I saw it to a point where I'm like, well, what could we do individually to not have this happen? Like
Right,
to
and
have
that
these
sounds
extreme
systemic.
things.
Yeah, like that sounds like something, maybe change up how uh, you know, applying for asylum is different. I guess my
Okay.
point being more so you know, things did not seem so dire years ago as they do
Yeah, they
now.
didn't. No, they
And
didn't. Yeah.
the point
I
that I'm trying to make too is that, out of 3 incidences up in Minneapolis, 2 of them have ended in death. And of those 2 deaths, they were both U.S. citizens. So
yeah.
the way that I look at this is very simple and zoomed out is, are U.S. citizens safer or not? And to me, it looks like right now they're not by
I
this
hear you.
presence.
Yeah.
So I get uh, the process of how it worked after the fact, like the deportation process, maybe not so much the asylum and signing up for citizenship, but as far as deportations went and ICE detainers, and yeah, there were raids. Uh, it was more so kind of done on the back end, or like behind closed
The
doors, or behind.
raids.
No, not so much the raids. Like saying, like, say they get a theft charge, and then they get picked up for it. They'll come to the jail. They'll get a charge with theft. They'll have to do whatever it is, either go see a judge, sit out their time, or pay a fine. And then after that, ICE would put a detainer on them if there was any questions to their legal documentation. So
Yeah.
at that point, then they are just deported. And like I said, when I would process those guys that are getting deported, it was more of a, like, you got me.
You got me. Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't, like, what are you guys doing? You're like, I'm just trying to do my job. I'm, like, just making tacos, or I'm just,
I
working
hear you.
and
Yeah.
not really disrupting anything. I mean, those guys, they might be getting paid under the table. They might not be paying income tax, but they are paying
Yeah.
sales tax. They are, contributing to some things. There's a lot of jobs out there that, people that are citizens don't want to work, when it comes to
Yeah.
how they're paid, and, like things like picking, berries up in the Pacific Northwest, or certain construction jobs. There's definitely jobs in like
I could
meat
speak
packing.
firsthand for that. Yeah, I could. I've been in the construction field for 18 years
Yeah.
since a little boy. So, I understand what you're talking about. Um, but I use this word because it has to do with it. Inadvertently,
Hmm.
we need to understand that we need to do our part individually. Like we can't. I'm not saying the repercussions should be astronomical, but we have to have accountability to ourselves in that bird.
Yeah,
If
I
if
agree
we're
there, and like
thank
for
you.
the most part, I think that that recognition of accountability was noticed when they were being deported. Like I would see them, I would talk to them, and they would say, "Yeah, like like this sucks, but maybe I
I
should
had it
have."
coming.
Yeah, in a way,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what I'm trying to say more so is that people are getting profiled more so because we're going door to door, and that seems scary. It's a little reflective of what was going on in the 30s in Germany with the Nazi occupation of Poland and other places, where they would go door to door trying to find out who was Jewish and who wasn't, who was considered an undesirable. And then they would pull these people out of their houses,
I went
very
to
similar
college,
to
so
how they're doing it
I
now.
studied up. I study up on Austria and everything that had
Right.
happened with Poland and World War II and all that. So I understand
Yeah,
what you're coming
it's
from,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this about that. That's a whole different field of how the
It
the
started out
camps and
though.
stuff.
Here's the thing though, is it started
Well,
out with
if we
deporting people that they didn't want. in their country, people that they felt like didn't deserve to be there.
Well,
Very
okay,
similar
the
in
ideology,
ideology
go ahead.
to
No,
the Jewish
ideology
the
on
Jewish
that though.
ideology came later, like the
Wait,
anti-Jewish rhetoric and the like undesirables and the like pseudoscience that they were trying to push about like homosexuality or people with disabilities. That did come later, but it started out with trying to deport people. So
it was rooted from the ideology though. It was rooted from the ideology of Aryan supremacy.
yeah,
If you
okay,
look
I
into
can see
how,
that. Yeah.
you get what I'm saying, like, because the thing is that there's many avenues to it, but they all root to the beginning cause, the beginning root, like, of it. So we can, like, nitpick for those. I mean, we're talking about Holocaust now, but where we got, what I'm talking about with here though, like with the situational thing that we have going on, um, this is a fruition of our negligence at times, and this is a big this
I would say
fruition is
it's partly negligence. It's
okay.
also
Yeah,
xenophobia. I think it's also trying to create a common enemy in immigrants compared to like subjects of like the economy or housing. JD Vance has been quoted as saying that housing prices are going up because immigrants. I don't see illegal immigrants buying $500,000 houses causing the housing market to be the way it is right now. What I would say
yo,
causes the housing problem is corporations buying up whole neighborhoods.
yeah, Black Rock and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And so,
Um,
I would say there's a little bit of a half and half that's going on there.
I
In
respect that. I respect that. Yeah,
like
you're
these
right.
talking points were they were the same talking points of, they're taking our jobs, they're causing the economy to crash. That was used for black people in, the post Civil War era, like the Reconstruction era, when black folk
50s and 60s,
were
making their own
even before the 60s.
communities.
I would say like 1860s past then to up all the way up until
Oh
past
wait,
Jim
you're right.
Crow
You're right.
to all of that. The main talking points where the lynchings and everything were happening was, they're criminals, they are rapists, they're like they're coming after your children. These are the same things they're saying about undocumented immigrants. They said this about the Greek immigrants. They said this about the Irish immigrants in
Yeah,
like earlier 1800s. It's obvious that this is meant to kind of create a common enemy for people that aren't within the said groups to
yeah,
like team up against.
yeah,
But hey, JD, I do have another guest here. I think it's been an interesting talk. I really appreciate your
yeah,
take on this.
yeah,
I think that
yeah.
what you've brought to the table was very interesting. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And
And
hopefully I'll be going
feel
live
free.
more. So feel free to, always jump in.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna shoot a like at you, man. I
All right.
appreciate you. It's a
Cool, man.
pleasure talking. You know.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good day.
You too, brother.
Yep. All right. Let me see. Hello, TJ, are you there still? I kind of was in a conversation for a bit. I don't know if you're still there. You might be muted.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I hear you. Hold on. Add to scene. I think you're going to come through now. Say something for me.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good now.
Yep. Uh, all right. So, TJ, what's your thoughts here?
Well, I'm looking at it from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was listening because sometimes you find that some of us we're like in an echo chamber. We
Right.
hear only one side of a story, but I kind of like drifted away from just listening to one perspective
Mm-hmm.
and trying to grab a full scope from just straight down the line because I'm this kind of person that not because I really support something mean that I have to just take every single thing that person says. It's kind of like cultish, but
Mm-hmm.
just viewing it from the outside, there are some things that I agree with and some things that I don't because it's one thing where you find um you could say, oh, that's like, for example, the this picture you have on the screen, there's not much information that I've gathered concerning that event, but I used
This
to
one I think is
hear
just a
people.
random. This is just an apprehension. I don't think this is the actual like Alex Preddy situation where he was, unalived by an ICE agent after being disarmed.
Oh, okay.
Uh, that is a very specific situation. It does like work as the kind of catalyst to why I'm trying to discuss this. I had a very like
Mhm.
more specific one going on earlier, but people were saying that it was too weird. So I was just gonna say, why do you support? Do you support ICE? The way it is right now, and why? Uh, so
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on that? Like the way that immigration's being handled? Are you in America or
No, I'm kind of like I said from the beginning. I'm kind of like viewing it from the outside.
outside? That's fine.
It's a bit yeah, it's a little different
Yeah, like what's your
view
perception of,
because
of what's going on then? Like what's it look like to you on the world stage here?
yeah, what personally from my end, some people they like lean left and some of my friends lean right, so it's kind of like both sides. And it was like even down here, like you see, there's a rift happening because if there's one thing I've learned throughout the years is that politics it kind of separates people, and anytime you find we have political parties and that we just stick to that one party, it kind of like rips apart a family. And that's one thing I told myself I will not allow happen to me because both side I find both side of politics, whether it be the left side or the right side, both side lies about anything just to be in power from my own view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that. But with eyes, watching it from the outside, like I was trying to say earlier, was that some people say that they arrested some American citizens, and I was like, well, I haven't seen that before because my cousin, every time stuff happened, he always calls me and tell me, oh, did you see this? Did you see this? And I was like, no, I could check it out. I don't really want to comment on it. I don't even have anything to share about it because I haven't seen it, you know. Um, but um,
Yeah, I get
the
that.
last night, yeah, but last night I sat with, well, it was day before, I sat with my wife and I was viewing it from a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of lean to some point. You could say I'm a little conservative.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few things that I know, some stuff that I don't know, and I
Right.
kind of like took some time off for me to listen more over on the other side. Let me hear what they say over on the other side because in 2016, just a side note, in 2016, I honestly did not like to hear Trump talk at all, and up to now, I think I still have an issue with it.
Uh,
um, I it was disturbing to me. That was my journey. It was very annoying, and
yeah, it still is.
when Hillary
It's
Clinton
hard to
spoke,
pay
I was like,
attention.
yeah, yeah, I would. If I was in America, I would have voted for her. And and there's some stuff she said. I was like, yeah, no, both of them
Oh
are
yeah,
terrible. But
mhm.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say like, yeah, I totally get that. I can't blame anybody for like thinking that all these politicians are kind of speaking out of their ass, for lack of a better term. It is pretty clear to me that Trump is just like literally from the seats of his pants, just like making up whatever he sees. Like he's talking about his childhood and stuff, and it's like, what any of this have to do with anything? I don't know what you're talking. Windows and what, but as far as like some of the things that Kamala said too, yeah, sure, I could see that. And I'm not gonna hate on that. I guess more so like what I'm
Yeah.
interested in is what the world or what the outside is thinking about what they're seeing. Like there's deaths of
Yeah.
American citizens that are happening. There's a lot of fear that's going on. There's a lot of protests that are going on.
Hmm.
Uh, there's extreme, opinions that are going on each side, and I just want to know, like how that seems. Like, does it seem like America's, not as stable as they were maybe a few years ago? Does it seem like they're more stable? Does it seem like they're going in the right direction? I guess that's what I
Well,
want your
from
take of.
oh, sure, cool, no problem. Yeah, but from the outside, my personal perspective, I think that the name might need to change a bit, um, from the United States to the divided states. Why I'm saying that? Because there's too much of division from both sides. Um, is because they have been divisive on one end and they've been divisive on the other end. So it's kind of like there's no call for unity. For example, like the full focus they have right now is over in Minneapolis, and
Mm-hmm.
you find there are a few actions that have seen from ICE. And I agree with the deportation of people from a country. Why? Because a country without borders is not a country, from my perspective. And
Right. There
I
are
find that
borders
there.
though, right? And we've been, ICE has been around since 2001. So that's 25 years
Mhm,
that ICE has been doing what they do, and they were put into place because of 9/11, and they wanted
yeah.
to. It was more so part of the Department of Homeland Security, which was also put into place around that time, to help facilitate the dampening of like outside
Yeah,
terrorism.
terrorism. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure if I could
no,
say
you're right.
something
You're
else.
you're fine.
Sorry for cutting you off.
You're
It's kind
you're
of like
completely
it's
fine.
literally my first time I'm actually speaking live with
Oh,
anyone,
you're doing
so
great.
I have no idea what I could cut off and what I shouldn't say.
It's
So
not
I'm
even
sorry if I
YouTube.
get your stuff.
I think you might have called in from YouTube. It's TikTok. I'm also over on there. They have a lot of little rules. So if you try and or if you say
Oh,
the wrong thing, so I just say like terrorism, whatever. If something comes out,
yeah. Okay.
I'll
Cool. Cool.
stop you if it's like too bad. But I don't even know if terrorism is even like one of the, uh, you know, like bad words. Either way, what I'm trying to say though is, uh, we let me try and think of what I was just saying earlier. We've gotten to a point where we have this like military presence that's going door to door. We have
Hmm.
protests going on. We have U.S. citizens that are now unalived or they've been shot. Whether or not they
Hmm.
deserved it is up for debate. Apparently, to
Yeah.
me,
It's high
after seeing the
standing. Yeah.
video of at least the second one, I would say that Renee Good also, that whole incident let her leave. She was not posing a threat to this guy. The guy was to the side of the car. Let her leave. Put a warrant out for arrest. Get her for obstructing later on. There's no need for
Yeah.
3 shots into the side of her head. As far as the second guy, uh, Alex Preddy, he was recording with the phone. He might have been shouting and protesting. It's part of your rights here in America, as you do have the freedom of
Yeah. First
speech.
Amendment. Yeah.
It was a very public place. It's not like he wasn't supposed to be there, or perhaps he may have
Hmm.
been planning to be there. But it's also a very popular food area in Minneapolis, so there's not much to say that he shouldn't have been there. He could have been picking up donuts, saw what was going on,
Hmm.
pulled his phone out, saw ICE, kind of being aggressive with a few ladies, and then he jumped in and he said like, "Hey, hold on, you're kind of you're being a little aggressive here," and then he got sprayed,
Hmm.
pulled it over to the side. He did have a firearm on him in his back. He never took it out. It is legal to have a
Hmm.
firearm on you. It's the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Second Amendment.
right. So what he was doing was not illegal, from what I saw, and beyond that, he was disarmed, and after being disarmed, he was then shot multiple times, uh, at like
Yeah.
execution
And
style, and that's concerning to me because
yeah.
if the premise of putting all of these 3,000 agents, which like I've said before is 3 to 4 times the amount of what Minneapolis normally staffs as like their law enforcement for their whole city, three to four times that just for immigration, you're kind of sending a message, and you're overflowing the people, the citizens of that city, whether they're documented or undocumented. You're sending a message
Yeah.
that you're surging. It's actually called like Operation Metro Surge or something like that, with all of these agents
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create fear and to create havoc. So what I'm against, I guess, is I saw how ICE, and I
Oh,
worked with ICE, years before during Obama and even Trump's
could,
first term.
so, sorry,
Yeah, sure.
sorry for cutting you off. Could I just respond a little to what you
Sure.
said earlier,
Go ahead.
because I think I may listen to you and forget what you just
No,
said.
you're
So
fine.
yeah, yeah. So from over in the Caribbean, we kind of like see it like what some of us see it like that, because I personally believe that your First Amendment right, it's you could say whatever you want to say, whether you agree with the person or not,
Right.
and that's one thing I agree with. And I said some people will say some stuff to you you wouldn't like at all, and some people will say, oh well, that's hateful or whatever, but it's still under your First Amendment right. You wouldn't find everyone liking you, but it's still a point where you have to be respectable to people and so on, whether you agree with them or not. It kind of like shapes a society.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so your speech of to protest and say whatever you want is covered under the law. Um, but when I watch it from the outside, it's like, why is it that but people protest for like a, a lot of stuff, and you could go, and my thing is, you could go out and protest, and you could stand on the side of the road and so on and so forth, and make whatever noise, curse or whatever. I'm a Christian, I don't
Sure.
so you could go on the side, or you could curse, you could go on and share, express your dissatisfaction with what's going on, which I have also expressed my dissatisfaction with what I've seen a few times, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to even the situation that you were explaining.
Mm-hmm.
But what I disagree with is the constant obstruction. Why? Because I think that if you allow them to do what they have to, I don't think that it would have gotten to this point. And the other thing I was trying to share earlier was that I was watching a video from the other side when it came to arrest the four American citizens that they said that were arrested, because I want to be as um I wouldn't say unbiased, because all of us have a level of biasness to some extent, but I wanted to see it from the other perspective also.
Right.
I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but I took some time off and I went to it was over in, I think, at a Mexican car wash. There was this
Mm-hmm.
situation where they just pulled up out of nowhere, and the guys they were washing the vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
and
So they're being
they just
profiled.
like, "Are you an American citizen? Are you an American citizen?"
Right.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
know
kind of
who
like
they
that. So,
are. They're
so
just asking. Okay.
yeah, so to us over in the Caribbean, it's kind of like, well, if a police officer just asks, "Oh, okay, pull you over, can I see your ID?" We don't make
Right.
no fuss about it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
we just give the ID, give whatever is necessary, and so on. And we don't do those things. We just comply because we're fine. We know that we're citizens, and we know if we are in
Mm-hmm.
right standing with the law, everything is fine. So we kind of like don't have that massive reaction. But
Mm-hmm.
what we don't, but what I disagreed with in that video, because I was breaking it down to my wife, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's right. Okay, well, I don't really like that. But at the same time, when we allow so many people to come in the country, and I had that thought to start off with, and then I was listening to you guys express like the reason why you have so much people coming in the country. I was like, okay, I never really watched it from that perspective too. I was listening to you,
Oh, with
and I
the
was like,
like
okay, well,
with
maybe that's the
Venezuela,
reason.
for example. Yeah, like if you disrupt a country, especially near the southern border, especially like their economy, you throw it
Yeah,
out completely to where they can't afford groceries or anything. They're gonna seek refuge, and
yeah, it's
there's reactions to these things.
yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, well, there's a reason. So, and it's difficult. So I was sharing with my wife, and I understand those things to a certain extent, but I was like, yeah, millions of people. It's a lot of people coming in the country, and I don't think it's stable for any country. to have so many people come in and you have no idea who they are. And it's something that we question ourselves about. And I question, just viewing it from the outside, how do they even know who those people are? They're just letting them in. Yeah, some of them come from war-torn countries. Some of them come to try get a better life because of the condition of the economy and so on and so forth. And some of them just want to come to just do cause mayhem and so on. Everybody knows this themselves, and but we don't know. And that's what I was asking myself. So how do you get a grip on that? So
Yeah, so
it's like,
they tried to pass legislation that would at least try to kind of take a little bit of the obstacles out of seeking things like asylum, seeking citizenship, seeking, you know, a work visa or what have you. Uh, that was like cut down by like Trump because he wanted to run on it in 2024 when they were, you know, running for re-election, or the
which bill was that
election.
again? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, there was a bipartisan bill that was actually introduced by the Republicans in Congress that was also worked on with the Democrats. So it was a bipartisan bill. Everybody thought, yeah, hey, this is going to pass. And from the beginning, it was going to pass. And what it
That
would
was
have done is it
that
would
was
have
like to close the border or something.
well, it would have capped off how many people can cross the border. It would have made the ability for people that are crossing the border a little bit easier. It was funding for beds. It was funding for uh, like judges and the ability
Hmm.
for us to kind of smooth out the process of, you know, like getting people in. But there was a cap. I mean, there, I think it was like 5,000 a day, don't get me wrong, that's a lot, but still there's a cap that's
That's a
going
lot
on.
of people.
Yeah. But also, like, these are 5,000 just crossings. It's not just like 5,000 like different people, so it's any kind of crossings. Thank you, Pink and Blue Sharks. I appreciate you, Sarah. uh so that was actually cut down by Trump. He told his followers, or like, you know, the MAGA supporters, that you need to vote against this bill. We do not want to pass it because I want to run on how like bad the border is being handled right now. So he wanted to use that
Yeah, yeah. I
as a
think both sides.
platform.
I think I yeah. Yeah. I think I
And
remember this
yeah,
from
so it's a
a
little,
point. I think of the election time. Yeah.
it's a little bit of like shooting yourself in the foot, you know, creating problems, your own problems, and then not like doing the things that you need to do to fix them. And yeah, he, you know, that's exactly what happened. So now we're stuck with this, you know,
Yeah, I
kind of
remember.
broken
Yeah.
system. We're stuck with this, you know, the border's kind of a mess. I will admit, like, Trump has kind of cracked down on the border, and that's fine by me. I'm like, harder border control, sure. It's the going door to door with this like new type of like secret police that are, we don't know who these guys are. They're masked up. We don't know if they're actually police or if they're just playing police. I mean, there's nothing that stops, say, a group of teenagers or criminals to don fatigues and wear masks and kidnap people under the guise of being immigration.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
little
So
sketchy.
yeah. So on that note, I think I would have this. I would agree with you to the point where you would find that people would take advantage of that, but I don't think that it is something where we can't identify if it's ice or not. And it would be difficult. Like I said, some people they're
They don't
opportunistics,
have body
and that they will
cams.
try
They don't
to.
have any form of ID on them. They're wearing things that they brought with them for the most part. Uh, like they're bringing their own, you know, supplies. They're wearing their own street clothes. Sometimes they're just like wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and they have a mask
Yeah,
on.
but I still think even having all that on, people still recognize that that's who they are, right?
Well, how do you know though? Like, what if I put on a mask and I came up to you and just said, "Hey, I'm
Yeah,
ICE. Come with me and get in this van."
yeah,
Are you going to comply?
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
ICE.
So
Why would you comply?
yeah,
You don't know anything about me. For all you know, I'm some pervert, or something. Like,
yeah, and and
do you
and
understand
I
how
get
wild
I
that
get
is?
that.
Why are they wearing
Yeah, I
masks?
get that.
That's the biggest part is if you are legally doing what you're doing, you shouldn't have to wear a mask, right?
Mhm.
You're only wearing a mask because you know this is wrong. There's no other reason to be wearing a
How?
mask. Why would you wear a mask to cover up your face when
Uh-huh.
when you are doing your job legally? If you're doing your job legally, you shouldn't feel any bit scared of wearing a mask or not. Like, unless you're
I
like
think
wearing the mask because of COVID, but we know that that's not the case because a large number of the people that work for ICE were against mask mandates. So they're wearing their masks to
yeah, but
conceal their identities. And cops don't wear masks like that. Cops
yeah, but
are
I
open
think
faced.
it, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like, cops wear their names, they have a badge number.
Hmm.
We
But
don't
not
see
all
that.
cops have badge numbers.
Yes, they do. All police officers have a badge number. One of the things that you, as like, if you're a citizen in the United States, you can walk up to any police
Hmm.
officer and ask them for their name and badge number. If they don't give that to you, then they're probably not a police officer.
Yeah, yeah. I think there are some, or maybe I'm getting it wrong. I think there might be one or two states that have certain places where they don't really have.
Well, I mean,
I forget the
there's
name of, yeah.
cases of like undercover police where they can't
Yeah, not the undercover
necessarily,
police officers. You can't. Yeah.
but they also
Yeah,
can't
but
they
that,
can't
yeah.
extort you or put you under what was that, where they make you commit a crime, under their basically supervision, like where they could stop it. And like, if you
Hmm.
asked an undercover officer, "Are you an officer?" they have to say yes.
Yeah, he wouldn't answer that. Yeah.
Hey,
I
Lily.
don't think some of them would.
Yeah. So I guess my whole point here is, why are they wearing masks? We
Y-
dealt with deportations before, like I said earlier, when I worked at a ICE detaining jail. It was a county jail that we had a partnership with ICE. We would charge ICE a certain amount for so many
What state?
beds, and this is in the Midwest, and
Mhm.
we would about every 2 weeks or once a month, depending, deport people, and the way that was handled was, if they broke the law, if they were caught by the police locally, they would handle their US related issues, and then ICE, within that time, would put a detainer on these people, because we would gather information, like if we don't have their fingerprint, if they don't have identification, if they don't have proof of citizenship, then yeah, they would get a detainer from ICE. If
Mhm.
they still can't prove citizenship, like having a family member bring your birth certificate up to the jail to show to a judge, or maybe bring it directly to the judge, then you would be deported. And this is how, like, most deportations would go. Like, it wasn't more so raids. We would have raids, don't get me wrong, and we would have maybe a week where
Yeah,
we
I know.
deport double the amount of people. But for the most part, on like a week to week basis, the ICE deportations that were going on were being done in a very, like, uh like, sensible manner, that doesn't involve like stuff like this going on, like where there's this constant presence of these unidentified people wearing fatigues. Yeah, they're wearing things that say police, but you can go to any kind of costume shop that can give you stuff that looks exactly like this. So why are we doing that when we deported more back in the years that I worked at this jail, which was during the Obama and first Trump administration? We were deporting more
So they had
people,
any
and it was done in a
in
much more
Obama and Trump's
humane
first
and
administration?
organized way, whereas this is now causing at least 2 U.S. citizen deaths because, yeah, they may be protesting, but they have good reason to, and they have the legal ability to protest. So, yeah,
So
like their due
so
process
question.
also was not being, completely thrown out of the room with them either. Whereas
Mhm.
now a lot of people there's U.S. citizens that might be black or brown with a little bit of an accent that aren't given any due process. They're considered like that's it. They ship you. Sometimes they know where they go. It's
Mhm.
crazy to me, like because I worked with this
Yeah.
stuff. Like it was
So
2 ICE agents that I would work with. They would rotate out, but this 3,000 agents in one city. That's wild to me.
yeah,
That's wild. Three
yeah.
to
So
four times their normal law enforcement. That's
yeah, I think it's
like
600 over Minneapolis too.
that's
So
weird.
the so to come back on the mask stuff, I say okay, they could get rid of this from my perspective, and like I said, I would agree with you that okay, nobody knows who you are and so on, and I could understand that from the other
Well, yeah. What's
perspective
to stop
also,
you or
so I
me
could respect
putting
that,
on a
yeah.
mask and
And yeah,
going to
yeah, that's the
Target
thing, that's
and
what I was sharing
grabbing
also.
grabbing somebody saying, "Hey, come with me. I'm ICE. You're being detained.
Yeah,
Put on a pair of
yeah.
handcuffs. You can buy those. Uh, Putting them into a
So
van.
what do you
Next thing
do
you know,
when
you don't know
what do
what's
you do
going
when they
on."
identify themselves to let them know that's who you are?
That to let them know that you're ICE.
Uh-huh.
I,
When
I
like if they swarm like around the vehicle, like what we are seeing happening, um, and they identify themselves to it, that's who we are and that's what we are about.
I
So
I
do
don't
do you
see.
still
I don't know if there's any way that they're identifying themselves. They're just kind of doing what they're ordered to
no no
do.
no I'm
They've been
asking
given.
yeah
Go
yeah
on.
no I was asking you a question. So I grant that they could get rid of the mask, even if they say that it's for a specific reason
Well,
and
I
so on.
think
I
getting
still
rid of
don't
the
really
mask
feel
is the
like it's
first part.
necessary.
Yeah,
Um,
to be able to see their
yeah, I don't think
face.
it's personally necessary. But I'm still saying the explanation from the other side is because those people are getting doxxed, like the family and all those kind of stuff. So
What's to
it's kind of
stop a
like there's
police
a reason
officer
why they
from
go
being
after that
doxxed?
person and so on.
Police
And
officers are
every
they have names and badges that they have to give out.
is it
This is part of law
yeah
enforcement.
is it
This is part of
yeah
of
but
what we call checks and balances, and those are
uh-huh,
things that are put there. They're called internal controls, and the reason why they're put there
uh-huh,
is so you don't do illegal shit like shooting people unwarranted. Like they did with
uh-huh,
Alex Preddy. Because now, do we
uh-huh.
even
That,
know
that
any
that
of
that
the
one that
identities
one
of the people
yeah
that shot him? Do we know who shot him? I mean, I'm like,
I
this is
think
a
they said it
legitimate
was
question.
two it was the well, from the little information I think they have out, I think the first initial shot was from the guy that was there for 8 years or something. And then after the barrage that came after, I personally found that it was a little messed up watching it from the outside. Like, yeah, the other guy with the gray coat came and took the gun and came out of there, but right
Right.
after a shot rang out, and then after it was just
Right. And I
loaded
could,
out. So
and
it's
you can
like
reason out
we kind of
some.
view it from like the perspective that in a few seconds, I would like I say it's a little messy. So it's like
It's hectic. I get it.
from the yeah, it's yeah, but from their perspective, maybe a little something different also. But my point that I was even trying to come back to, and I think we could go back to this point also to
Sure.
finish up and so on, is
Yeah, I
that
got about 10 minutes. So, yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with okay, they get rid of the mask and so on. Okay, they dox you and so on and so forth, even if they have assaults on them went up 10,000%. I'm just throwing that number out there, but
Right, right,
whatever
right,
it
right,
is.
right.
Um, so my thing, viewing it from the outside, is that why block off the entire road when you see a law enforcement vehicle?
He wasn't blocking off the road. If
Like
you
you
actually watch
disrupt.
it, He's helping
No, no, no,
cars.
not this, not this. Yeah,
Oh, like with
not
Renee
this
Good.
situation. That's why I said like going over, like when you watch the entire, not just her, like I'm viewing like a bunch of stuff from both right side and the left side. I'm listening to everything
Yeah, so
from like
if you're
going straight down
blocking
the
a
line. So
road,
what I find,
arrest them
yeah,
for
it's no longer
obstruction.
yeah, yeah, it's I find it's no longer your First Amendment. You are not covered under that anymore. The moment that you go
I
down that road,
I
is
agree,
because right now you are obstructing. And
but here's
one
what
of the
I'm
things that I
saying
also find, I
is
think it's a little petty. Also, just a minute,
here's
right? I
here's
find it's a
something
little.
though. No, actually, let's talk about this though. You have to
Mhm, go
understand
ahead.
jurisdiction. So jurisdiction for civil crimes falls under local police. It does not fall within immigration. So immigration might be able to take certain
Jurisdiction.
steps.
Okay, yeah, cool. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that ICE should call local police. If a road's being
Hmm.
blocked, call local police. Let local police handle it. Don't try and pull these people out of their cars. Don't try and like get involved, especially when you're armed and completely untrained. You don't have great communication, as shown through the Alex Preddy and through the way that one officer was standing in front of Renee Good's car. Like that's just bad training, right? Uh, and the guy with the gray
Yeah, I think the
coat
training
could
thing that
have
you did. Yeah.
communicated, "Hey, I have his gun." Like he doesn't have a gun. He's unarmed. So use less than
Yeah,
lethal
but how
or
would they know
whatever.
though?
With communication, you would say something like,
Yeah, but
gun
and I
off,
agree. I agree.
uh, whatever 1080 or whatever they say. 1080 is what we used for
Mhm.
the talk for inmates. But yeah, you'd say like gun off the perpetrator or whatever, and then everybody else would say like heard or something. They would acknowledge it. These are things that they're trained in, which is very
Yeah,
clear that
and I'm agreeing with you.
ICE
I
is
agree with
not
that. But
being
the thing
trained
is,
in
how
that.
would you know if it? Yeah, how would you know if it's only one?
Gun
Because you could spot, yeah, like you could spot one gun and he might
doesn't
have
matter.
another, so you
He
don't
had
know.
a
But I'm not
license
saying,
to
yeah, so
carry.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, he has a lawful
In
Second
Minnesota
Amendment right
law,
gives him that
sorry,
right for him
in
to carry
Minnesota
his gun.
law,
Yeah.
you don't have to let an officer know whether or not you have a concealed weapon. That's part of the concealed carry permit. Unless they specifically ask you, do you have a concealed weapon on you? Then you do have to admit,
Hmm.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
have a weapon.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any
Hmm.
ICE officers asking if he had a weapon on him. I didn't hear anything like that
Yeah. No.
being communicated. Communication is very vital, especially because it does seem
Yeah.
that once his firearm was removed from his holster, which it never left, so he was within his Second Amendment rights. Uh, Once it was removed from his holster, then it might have been discharged accidentally, and then that
Hmm.
created a whole nother. And so there's proper handling of firearms that you're pulling off of somebody. Maybe they should like let it sit on the ground, kick it away, maybe
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
something else. Tell him to put his arms up and to disarm himself by putting it on the ground, and then stepping back.
Hmm.
Like these are all things that like law enforcement, local law enforcement would know what to do, but it's pretty apparent that ICE does not. So that's scary. That kind of lack of training and lack of like sensitivity to what's going on,
Hmm.
unacceptable.
Yeah.
Completely unacceptable. These guys should not be armed. Then they should not be doing what they do, and especially in the numbers that they're carrying. Like 3,000 people, 5 to 7 people on one person. This is just
Hmm.
it's not good. It's not good. Train your officers better. Pull them out of the city until you can prove that they're trained. And I have a master's in public
Hmm.
administration, so like this is as somebody with a college degree in these like responses to this, like how you would deal with the public response in that is, yeah, we screwed up. We need to pull everybody back out, go retrain them or train
Hmm.
them, And then perhaps try and figure out where we went wrong, try and make things a little bit better and easier for the people that are within these cities that are upset. I mean, these are the people that you're going to expect to vote for your administration. And why would you piss them off? And that's exactly what's happening is they're shooting themselves in the foot as far as like Trump goes and MAGA. Like, people aren't going to want more of this. They're going to say, screw this. I'm
Yeah,
going to vote
I
for the
think there's a
most boring
distinction. Yeah.
Republican or whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't agree with what's going on here. And for the large part, I would say that the most outspoken people, even people on the Republican side, are agreeing with that. I mean, Trump is even sort of agreeing by pulling out Bovino the way he did. Uh,
Hmm.
that's a sign that, hey, yeah, Bovino, what he said was wrong, and they jumped to a conclusion, and
Yeah, I
now
find
he's
yeah,
fired. So like,
yeah.
there's clear in
I'm
having
not
the
sure if it's
NRA
he's
pissed
fired or
off at
not,
you
but
too is a big one. The
yeah,
NRA's
I'm not
a
sure if
lot of
he's
money.
fired or not. But I agree because when I think there was two things that he said, and I said, oh yeah, no, that's that no 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 no. I think it was the same part for the renegade when he say she ran him over, and I know there's the explanation about the definition of running over and so on, but I was like, yeah, no 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 no, no, I don't
Yeah.
agree to that. He did not run, she did not run the guy over.
If you're
Um,
to the side of a
but
car,
the
first off, you're not trained to be in front of a car. As a law
Yeah, no, they
enforcement
don't train
officer,
them.
you want to be to the side of a car. Uh, and you probably want to do like less than lethal. There's rules of engagement when a perp is in a car to not use lethal force unless they are using something other than the car as a lethal weapon, or they're like blatantly like coming at you, like it's very blatant. Hers, I would say, falls within like the gray area to where she turned away. She If you're gonna hit somebody, you don't back up first and then turn and then so when it comes to that, there's training problems there. There's issues. He was also, I guess, like months before, had a similar issue where he was dragged by a car that he has his arm in. Perhaps get him off the street, let him go through a little bit of therapy or retraining,
Mhm.
and figure it out from there. That's how you like responsibly manage these types of situations, instead of just like, oh, whatever, just and then call her a terrorist and be done with it. Like that. That's wild to me because I don't know the
Yeah.
situation. She could
The
have just been stuck in traffic and scared. They asked
Yeah,
her
no, no.
immediately to get her car out of the way. That her asking her
She
to
was.
move her car
I think
was
both
stuck in
of
her
us were
head.
there.
And when the guy opened her door, she's like, "Oh shit, I better move the car," and then next thing you know, she's shot
No,
and
no, no.
dead.
I don't think I have agreed with you for a few stuff. I don't think she was stuck somewhere because there's another video
I'm
that I
just
saw
saying,
that
for
she
all we
was
know,
literally
like it
parked.
just legally, like if
Yeah,
I were a
yeah, but
lawyer,
the video
we
is
don't have
out
the
there, it
full
shows it,
context.
right?
Yeah, well, videos don't show the full context, like that's what they said about with
No,
the Alex Preddy stuff too. But like
yeah,
we don't have the
that there is a
whole
difference
context.
because, like I said,
Like, why was she there in the
no,
first
like I said,
place?
I
Things like
cannot
that.
try view it from both ends and so on.
Right.
But when I saw a different video, like way before they approached the vehicle, she was there like for 4 minutes, packed in that same space in
Right.
of
And
the road, stayed there for
she
like
was
literally
telling
4 minutes,
ICE
and
to go around, right? So she could leave. Is what it that to what I saw. And it seemed like they were able to get around, and then all of a sudden a truck kind of speeds up, a guy gets out of
yeah,
the
the other
truck,
guy came
runs up
and
to
to get out
hers,
of the car. Yeah.
pulls that, and then she thinks, oh shit, maybe I should move. Maybe that's what's going through her head. Maybe she's thinking, I need to get the F out of here. I'm gonna run. It doesn't matter. What you do is you let her get the heck out of there, and you put a warrant out for her.
Mhm.
You don't shoot her.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think that it was warranted that they should have shot the lady. In many cases, apart from that, there are videos way before all this even happened, because I kind of like watching
Yeah, I
unsolved
get you.
mysteries and all this
Yeah.
kind
Oh
of
yeah,
stuff.
we all do.
And they have vehicles that are being used. I literally saw about like a few months ago, where a female officer, she was in an incident, similar incident, and she was so close to the vehicle, a woman just drove and just instant death.
And
It was another
un-
person, and the woman was,
unalive the
yeah,
officer,
instant death. Yeah.
or the
Oh,
driver was
so sorry,
unalived.
so sorry. The officer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
if you
and I think that person was
is it
trying to
the one with
drive
the
off,
white, where the
and
white
it was like
van,
literal. Yeah,
it was like a
I
white
can't remember
car?
the color of the vehicle.
Was there
I can't
snow
remember the
and
color, but
like the cars like chasing after the officer, like very blatantly chasing, like curving, and like because the
no, it was
officer
not.
was doing the right thing by like going to the sides, and then the car was like
No,
trying to turn around and then hit him.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
No, the one that I saw, the vehicle was parked. I think she was almost in the same direction as the guy was, and the person tried driving off,
okay,
and because I think the cruiser, some of the vehicle was in front and just slammed right into her, and she left instantly. And it's some cases where a vehicle could be used as that, but
okay,
like I said earlier, I don't think that was warranted for
right,
the
right,
lady
right.
to lose her life. That's terrible. Both cases, I personally find it's terrible.
In the
um
end, there's going to be
but
nuance with every case, right? Like there's always going to be,
yeah.
you got to take it by case basis. And I guess what I'm saying
Someone said fake story.
I mean, fake or not fake, you got to rely on
Yeah,
things like proper training, proper engagement, proper
yeah.
policies
Hmm.
that are going on. And I think that if you rely on the right policies, the right engagement rules, and for the most part harm is reduced as much as possible, there's going to be
Hmm.
cases where there's an erratic person behind the car. There might be a person that is
Hmm.
acting in malice. I think that there were, in both Alex Preddy's and in Renee Good's cases, just blatant disregard of proper communication, proper training. That ICE. If I were leading ICE, if I was Christy Noam, I would take accountability. I think that that's a very mature thing to do. Say, yeah, hey guys, it's clear that there's some weird stuff going on. Whether or not these people deserved it is a little bit aside
I wouldn't say
to
they deserved it.
what. No, 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 what I'm saying though is that, like, if they were acting in malice, or there's other motives going on, it is not related to what happened as far as the actions taken by the officers, right? So that's what I'm trying to say, is that like, maybe stop everything, pull these people out of this city because they're untrained, obviously, train them, and then reevaluate. So with
Yeah,
that though,
I
I
think.
do have to let you go. I'm a little bit late on my cutoff time here.
Oh, sure, cool.
Yeah, but no, good talk there, TJ. I really appreciate you calling in. I think it was a good discussion. Yeah, I want to do more of this, so I should be coming on more on this channel. For anybody that's watching, yeah, like and subscribe. I know the Deconstruction Junction is mostly about religious deconstruction, but I think that considering the recent events, we should deconstruct these situations and these different uh topics, and try to really break it down, and try to see, like, okay, what's going on here, where, like, how could this have been handled better. I think that
Hmm.
that's a good and constructive way to go about it. So with that, I appreciate you, TJ. I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm gonna tell you to call in some other time. So thank you. With everybody else, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you all. We didn't have too many people on TikTok. Hopefully I'll have guest access next time. I do want to keep this discussion going. I think that these are important topics. Uh, Affirming their delusions. I'm not trying to affirm any delusions. What I'm trying to do is hear people out. I don't think that things are black and white. There's a lot of gray area, no matter what it is. Ask any lawyer. They can create a narrative for almost anything. So with that, thank you for calling or joining in, watching YouTube. I appreciate you guys. We had a fair number of people that came through. I really do appreciate that. I should be going live again. Maybe I'll try and go live tomorrow around the same time, around 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. or so Central Time. And hopefully we can get guests on TikTok. So thank you guys. Have a good night. Appreciate you. And have a nice day.